What's up, everybody? You are very welcome along to this transfer special podcast. Today, I'm joined by Dave Henry, as always, and I'm joined by Brian Morrissey for the first time, I think, on one of these pods. Dave, I'll come to you first, buddy. How are you? How's the good weather treating you? I see there's a heat wave across Europe, so I imagine you're getting it in Germany.
Balls are sweating off me, mate. Simple as that. I'm just absolutely too hot for this patio over here.
Yeah, I get you, mate. But as I always say to people, you're not getting any sympathy from me, pal, when it's warm. Like,
Oh.
I'm living in Ireland now.
No, look, it's beautiful. It was nice today. It was yesterday was ridiculous. It was about 39 in some places in Germany. Today it was nice. It was 24, so I'm not complaining.
And Mr. Morrissey, you're down there in Waterford. How is life treating you down in the sunny southeast? Or is that technically not the southeast?
Of course, it's what kind of question is that? Of course it is. Yeah, life's good at the moment. Yeah, life's very good at the moment. Not like that 39 degrees type shit. Yeah, we don't need any of that, but it could be a little bit better. But Waterford, one of the best places you could ever be, regardless of the weather.
Tremor, absolutely jammers, I'd say.
Yeah. No, I was only out there today, playing around with some RC cars, doing grown up kids stuff. So yeah, it's all good.
That's what you got to do. You've got to do it. Right, look, gents, let's move straight on to transfers because this is the sexy topic of the summer. Even though not many people know what's going on, I think we should still discuss it. So let me come to you first, Dave, and we'll have a little chat about where we need to strengthen. And for me, the obvious position is up front. And I want to know your thoughts on where you think we need to strengthen our attack. Are you looking for a midfielder maybe or wide forward?
Yeah, we do. I agree with you regarding the up front because just what I'm worried about is the three lads. You know, we have two of them at the African Cup of Nations, and the other one is at the Copa America. So, you know, what kind of impact and things like that. But, you know, we do need to strengthen because any Liverpool team in the past, and just going by, you know, when we were winning cups left, right, and centre, every Liverpool team strengthened, and I think we need to kick on and we do need to strengthen. So definitely, and I've mentioned that to you before as well, Craig, in a different prod, is someone to come in, really challenge the front three, but also offer something different. What that something different is, I don't know, but something a bit different to what the three lads offer. A left back, I think, is essential as well, because you want to be able to rest Robbo for maybe cup games, you know, whether that be FA Cup, League Cup, things like that. I think we're fine in midfield, to be honest with you, central midfield wise, and I think with what cup plays, we're fine. But maybe a kind of, I suppose, a real attacking number 10 midfielder as well. So, you know, we're looking at the Fekir, we're looking at a Nicolas Pepe, someone like that. I think we missed a chance with Cruz going to Fenerbahce, the German lad, on a free transfer, I think.
That was the guy from Werder Bremen, was it?
That's right, from Werder Bremen. Yeah, he's gone to Fenerbahce, and I think we have missed a trick there just simply because of the no transfer fee. It was a free transfer, so the risk would have been limited. But look, it all comes down to as well. I do trust Jurgen Klopp, and I'd follow him blindly. So today is only the 1st of July, and we've mentioned on the WhatsApp group as well. I think things from this week will start kicking on because clubs now, European clubs, they've started their new financial year. The new season is starting now. So any money they make can go into this season's budget. Whereas if we bought a player from, let's say, last season or 2-3 days ago, the budgets would have been in place already. So they wouldn't have been able to, I suppose, I wouldn't say extend their budget, but do you know what I mean? Kind of add on to what they've already had. And
if you want to say fiddle the books, mate, just go ahead and say fiddle the books. We all know at this point, like, we've heard it all. Like last year, do you remember with Leon last year and Fekir? It was the stock exchange, it was the 1st of July, it was every excuse under the sun.
Yeah. So however they want to do it, as you said, fill the books. Yeah, but I do think I could be completely wrong. This is just a complete hunch. I think we will sign another 2 to 3 players, to be honest with you, and I think there will be.
Dirty bastard! Don't be saying that to people.
But I think we need to as well. I think we need to, if we're going to kick on and really kick on next season, you know, compete in every single competition, which we should be doing. I think we will. And I think Mr. Henry dropped in a couple of things there as well, saying, look, we are going to be challenging or really focusing on the Premier League. And I think he would have seen that last year. He would have seen what City done, and he obviously knows what kind of squad City has. And I think, you know, he's not going to be shy to put his hands in his pocket. Well, I'm hoping not anyway, but I think he's proven that he's not.
Brian, I want to come to you and get your opinion on who you think we're going to look for, but there's one name I want to talk to you about. It's a name that's been not really linked to Liverpool so strongly lately, but Bruno Fernandes, mate. That's a name that keeps popping up and up and up, and I'm fully convinced he's going to go to Manchester United, but there's this talk of, I'm not sure if you've heard about this ridiculous clause in his contract that if a club bids over 35 or 40 million from or something and it's not accepted by Sporting, he gets a £5 million payment. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't. That sounds like great fun.
Sounds like a type of thing where you just get every club in Europe to start bidding from and just bankrupt Sporting Lisbon. Like, it sounds like the most ludicrous contract clause I've ever heard.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising for some of those Portuguese clubs. There is a lot of that kind of odd stuff that goes on. But with Bruno Fernandes, yeah, just from a couple other things that have been going on, it was always he's going to United. What the delay is on that, I don't know, because it's one of those. They were so sure about that was going to happen. I think it would have been done. I think it's kind of strange there because there's no director of football in place there, and they're talking about that they need a director of football. So I think the fact they're trying to sign players and they're signing players before that happens is a bit strange. So maybe that's what's holding up. I'm like you. I'm waiting till you wake up some morning and it's like, yeah, that's a done deal.
Well, there's been some talk today, and I think it's more than talk. I think some of the major outlets have been reporting that they opened the bidding at £35 million for Fernandes, who it's been quoted by Sporting Lisbon that the number is 70.
Yeah, and if there is some strange fee where something can happen to get it for lower, Sporting are one of those clubs that they have realistic get out clauses. They don't put in these nonsensical 400 million. It's like, this is the price that would get him. So with all the hype that's been generated by his achievements last year, the numbers he's putting in, I would see him as someone that if we were to go in for him, it would be because it hadn't worked out whatever was supposed to happen for him. We'd gotten the deals we wanted in place because I fully believe we work 12 months, 18 months in advance, which is why I don't think we would buy a player on the back of a breakout season, no matter how good that was, unless it was something where everyone agreed and came to this guy is something we should be looking at and we should get him. But I think we're looking at our targets that far in advance that players that have had breakout seasons last year, I don't see it. Towards the end of the year, if he was available, he hadn't moved. He's exactly the kind of player you'd like to take as a transfer window bonus. But we will get, because it's minor surgery that we need. It's not a big overhaul job. It's not brand new shiny signings that cost 85 million, because that 85 million pound player has to replace somebody that's already established themselves, is a Champions League winner, 97 points. It's an extremely difficult team to get into. So the amount of boxes that someone has to tick to be able to walk into our team, and everyone else in the team accept the fact that Firmino has lost his place, or Henderson has lost his place, or who's dropped. I can't see too many more. He's gone now, but we've got this guy. It's very, very difficult. I see the positions that we need to sign in are obvious. They're clear to see. Cover for left back. I don't mean, I fully expect what everyone's saying. There will be a 25 million pound versatile forward because of what I'm saying. We won't buy 85 million because he'll have to go in the team. So who do you drop? Mane, Salah, or Firmino? That's not going to happen. So it has to be a Ziyech, an upgrade on Shaqiri.
Just say Fekir, for fuck's sake, will you? Let's cut the balls. Just say Fekir.
No, I don't see Fekir happening at all. I think Ziyech or Lozano. I think Fekir, that ship has sailed, perhaps, because if it was ever on the cards to be back on, we wouldn't be dawdling. He's not at a international tournament. I think the squad is so good now that it will be, and I agree with Dave, actually. I think we will sign 4 players, but they won't necessarily be Coutinho, Pepe and Fekir back.
The thing about Bruno Fernandes and that whole, I'm not sure if you heard this, Dave, the whole renegotiation of his deal was apparently to do with the issues of the players being attacked at Sporting Lisbon last year. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do, yeah. They attacked, the fans attacked them for just basically downing tools. But I think there's a lot more to it than that. I think the board at Sporting, I don't know, has it changed in the last 12 months? But there's a lot of shy talks on that board as well. So I can't really blame. There was a lot of players on the transfer list as well, wasn't there, last season? Or did they get rid of?
That's how Wolves got Patricio.
That's right.
And the only
there was talk about they were allowing players to walk out, and then, as you said, Brian, they like Patricio and stuff. They just came to agreement to a club for maybe a little bit of a knockdown because they knew they were in a pretty weak position.
I think the basic crux of the issue was that they were attacked at the training ground, and the club is duty bound to protect the players at the training ground. They didn't do their job. These guys were allowed to basically just walk into the training ground and attack the players while they're at work. So they just said, well, our employers haven't protected us. We're walking away from our... That was where it all kind of legally came from.
The whole stuff, Dave, around this, as Brian touched on, £25 million style forward coming in, I think comes from David Maddock. I think it was him that tweeted saying, don't expect a 60 to 70 million pound attacker,
That's
possibly
right. Was, yeah.
20 million pound wide forward / attacking player.
That's right, yeah. There's a lot of good players as well you can get on the market for the kind of that price. And even saying that, that's fucking still stupid money, let's be honest. You know what I mean? We're not that long into this ridiculous transfer fees now, but even like a player for 50 million, we've, Wan-Bissaka going for 50 million now, things like that. It's still a lot of money, and you're talking about then on top of that wages and what have you, signing on fee. But I do see us signing, as I said, I know Brian agrees with me, that maybe 3 players. I'd like to see, as I said, a good left back, someone that, I think the players that we need to sign as well do need to be challenging these lads. They need to be looking at saying, look, I want to get into this team as well, because the team is a winning team now. You know what I mean? We don't need major tweaks. We don't need major signings, but we do need players who can come in and maybe, give the lads who are starting, let's be honest, week in, week out, something to think about. And what that does as well is you'd like to think if they can up their game that bit more, that's fucking frightening prospect.
It is, and I kind of, Brian, disagree with you a little bit on the Fekir thing, and let me explain why. So I don't believe that Jurgen Klopp is the type of manager to leave somebody high and dry. Now, we're all guessing as to what went on last summer. The smart money's probably on the medical. There's some other talk that it was to do with Jean-Michel Aulas, other talk to do with money. There's also some plane tracking stuff going on today on Twitter, mate. I'm not sure if you've seen that one. Planes going from Lyon to Southampton to John Lennon. A few other bits and pieces. Then, of course, there's the obvious point of the price point that David Maddock spoke about, the 20-odd million pound. And we know that it seems Lyon are willing to do business around the 26 million pound mark, which is what AC Milan had been rumoured to be offering for Nabil Fekir. So I'm maybe putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 5 here, but I know I still have a little spark of belief that maybe something will happen there.
Yeah, well, I don't think necessarily that it was. I agree with you. Klopp wouldn't do it. I think it was maybe the club and everything around it to pull the plug on the deal. I think we're going to have to wait for that book to come out, to be honest with you, before we really know. Also, I don't. If we're talking about a 4-3-3, I don't see Fekir as someone that plays in front 3 positions for us. So that was sort of why I was thinking about him not being in that £25 million front 3 player. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but I think he does his best work from a more withdrawn role, deeper. Like I just think he's much more like Lallana than Mane or Salah, or even Bobby Firmino. He'd be a lovely little transfer bonus where it's like, hey, look, lads, we've got all this, we've got all ducks in a row, as pundits like to say, and we've got the money in the bank. He's cheap. Why don't we take a chance on this lad? Can we go back and look at it again? That'll be class, because the lad,
as you said, Brian, you said take a chance, and there's a massive difference between taking a chance at 55 million last summer and taking a chance at 25-26 million this summer.
Yeah. And how does the, like, there was a lot of talk about Coutinho as if it's only a matter of time, or it's only a matter of if we wanted him and if we could buy. These people are human beings. Like, Coutinho's family were full set on getting out of the north of England, going to Barcelona. The idea that Coutinho will just come back, his whole family just moved back to the north of England. They were sick of it. They wanted to go. They wanted to go and live somewhere nice, somewhere warm, more to their taste. It's
not that we're slagging the north of England here in any way, shape, or form. By the way, got to make that clear.
Exactly, but how? Not for a guy from Brazil, you know. How did it affect Fekir? Is he up for going through all that again? We don't know. We're human beings.
And with Coutinho, the really ironic thing here, Brian, is that he turned down. I remember Melissa Reddy saying he turned down a couple of occasions. He turned down Paris Saint-Germain, and now he looks like he could possibly be used as a make-weight to get Neymar back to Barcelona. There's talk of either Coutinho or Ousmane Dembele as a potential make-weight in that deal, and it's a club that Coutinho has already turned down previously.
Yeah, and I think it goes to as well what I was saying is like even as much as I talk about them being human beings, to some clubs they're human cattle. They have a value and they want to move them around and they want, like, a lot of clubs have that player that left. Now, would we have gone on to do what we did with him? Would the balance have been just as perfect as it was with Coutinho on the team? Maybe it wouldn't have been. Maybe we wouldn't have gotten through that Barcelona game. Who knows? But he left. Yeah, we went on to do what we did. But I just think that there's a line drawn under that. And if he has to go to Paris, I feel, yeah, look, he made his bed and he has to lie in it. But I do feel a bit of sadness for him that he missed out on something. And now he's in one of these, we don't want him, you take him situations.
True. Dave, there's been a lot of fume about that David Maddock figure, that £20 million figure, and here's where I don't buy into the fume. Now, I want a forward, I want an attacking player, 100% believe that we need one, but when you see that we got Andy Robertson for $8.5 million, when you see that we got Shaqiri for $13.5 million, the numbers to me don't matter, it's the player. And last year, Fekir was a £55 million player. This year, he could be a £26 million player. Doesn't make him any less of a player to me. I still want somebody that fits in. I don't give a shit how much they cost. I believe in Jurgen Klopp, Dave Fallows, Michael Edwards, Barry Hunter, and the rest of the recruitment team that they know what they're at.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And if you look at we'll go back to Fekir again. Am I right in saying he's got, well, today, the 1st of July, less than a year left in his contract?
Yeah, and he won't win. And he's already got an agreement with Jean-Michel Aulas that he can leave this summer, and he's refused to sign the new deal. So again, Leon aren't in a position there where they can really afford to just let him walk.
Correct. Yeah. So, for example, if you sign Fekir, Edwards being the good businessman that he is, if you sign Fekir this summer, you probably get him for £15 million, because Leon could say, look, okay, you give us 15 million or we'll accept that, but this is how we want the deal structured. We want, let's say, 12.5 million up front. We want the other 2.5 million paid out over a certain amount of time. But then we might want, let's say, if you win the Champions League again, we might want $1 million. If you win the Premier League, we might want $1 million, sorry. So the non-guaranteed, let's say, payments. But then you also got to look at Leon. They want to get someone off their books who, let's be honest, this has been going on over Fekir's head now for the last 12 months, moving the club. Where's the lad's heart at? We think he wants this move to Liverpool. It's already been, agreed. We don't know yet what happened in the background. So what kind of wages would Fekir be on at Lyon? I know they wouldn't be extravagantly high, but I'd imagine he'd probably be getting, 40 grand a week, would he? I'd
say him and Memphis Depay are probably the two highest paid players at the club.
He's the captain of the club as well, isn't he?
I believe so. I don't watch that much of Lyon, but yes, I believe he is.
So there you go. You're looking at these things. If you have a captain of your club that doesn't want to play for you, you want to get him shipped out of there ASAP. And I think that's why he's been a bit prostituted about. You see AC Milan. I personally don't think he has a chance of going to Milan now with the transfer ban.
Well, can we just, while we're talking about Milan, can we take a second to just recognise how fucking brilliant Italian clubs are at taking the piss with transfers? Like this Lukaku to Inter Milan deal, 9 million over 2 years from a loan, and then 54 million potentially 2 years later. Like they are geniuses at fucking over English clubs.
Absolutely. Well, look what Juventus have done. They've just signed two new players for, well, obviously they're going to cost a lot in wages, but no transfer fee. In Rabiot and Ramsey. And I was doing this thing
before that.
Emre Can before that. They signed Pirlo on a free transfer. They signed Pogba on a free transfer. They signed Kadir on a free transfer. Fucking hell, it's serious business, because we're not too bad at the free transfers as well. You know, James Miller didn't turn out too bad. Gary Mack before that didn't turn out too bad. Do you want to call Andy Robertson a swap deal? That didn't turn out too bad either. But yeah, the Italian boys know how to do it. They're absolutely brilliant when it comes to this. But sorry, we've gone off the topic there a bit. But to go back to Maddock's point, Maddock was very, very good at what he said, in my opinion. He was kind of like, look, you read into this whatever you want. This is what I think. He didn't mention an absolute figure. I know he said 70 to 80. But for Christ's sake, if Liverpool sign, how much was Alisson? He was 66. So if you're signing 50 million players still, and knowing Liverpool, they should turn out to be pretty decent players. Are you talking maybe, I don't know, would Nicolas Pepe be at that? We've already discussed Fekir. You're looking at Fekir, 15 to 20 million. I'd say if you wanted to sign him, you'd get him at that price.
You touched on Pepe there, and Brian, I want to come to you on this one. So we've heard varying stories on Nicolas Pepe and Liverpool's potential interest. We've heard some stuff coming out of France. Bufassi, I think that gentleman's name is, the journalist from there, said that Pepe has his heart set on a move to England and that Liverpool are interested. But then we've seen a journalist who I hold in very high esteem, in Melissa Reddy, come out and say that Liverpool went out of their way to contact Lille to say that they don't hold any interest in the player. Now, I've heard a journalist coming out and saying that they believe, or they've been briefed, that a club doesn't hold any interest, but to actually name and say that we contacted the manager or the club, I can't remember who it was within our club, was it Michael Edwards? Or
it was Edwards, yeah, it was Edwards.
To go and name drop him like that, and it's I just can't believe that Melissa Reddy would have said that if she wasn't absolutely guaranteed it, because, as I said, I hold Melissa Reddy in very high esteem.
Yeah, you're completely correct. There's smoke and mirrors and misinformation and misdirection, and then there's outright destroying your reputation. There's no way she would come out and say that. That was not what she was told to be 100% correct. That's a far cry away from a journalist going, "Oh no, I don't think there's any interest in that guy. I think they're looking at someone else." This is her coming out and categorically stating something, naming officials at the club, naming both clubs. Someone I heard yesterday mentioned that they believe that she's been paid to tell people lies, but it hasn't gone that far. All that's happened is that the club has tightened up on journalists all over the place, finding out everything and leaking crap all over the place. That's all that's happened. People now seem to believe that there's a cabal of journalists that are working for the club and actually printing lies to mislead fans and mislead other clubs about what our transfer targets are. There's just absolutely no way. What's she going to do?
I believe she has absolute integrity, as does David Maddock, as does James Pearce, as does Paul Joyce, Chris Bascom. I genuinely believe they all act in the utmost good faith.
No, this is not something that she's going to turn around and go, "Oh, ta-da, I was only lying so you'd all look away and now look at her shiny big..." No way. She's got far too many high-paying gigs now and high-profile jobs, ESPN now, to go around doing crap like that, because you're a joke then afterwards. And you're not. She's not a stooge for the club. The Pepe thing, I just think it's agent talk. I just think it's Lille. I just think it's everyone that wants the guy to get a big move to a big club, and his talent is there for all to see, but he pretty much would be an expensive, unnecessary, and probably disruptive, just in terms of where he plays and how much he wants to play, addition to a team that really doesn't need someone at that level. We need an upgrade on Shaqiri, but we don't need a superstar striker, because, again, ask any of the fan base, who do you want to drop? Mane, Firmino, or Salah. They're all nailed on. No one's dropping them or leaving them out. So who is the guy that comes in then? Who do you spend? That's why the £25 million figure makes sense, because the player that we bring into that position will be someone who will be excellent, but will be available and will be happy to be at Liverpool, won't expect to be number one day one.
Speaking of talented young footballers and talented young forwards, Dave, this brings me on nicely to Ryan Brewster. Now, There are a few times where I've been certain about somebody. I was almost certain about Raheem Sterling when he was coming through, because you've seen what the kid was capable of. You hear stories of Steven Gerrard in training making a show of Paul Ince. You hear stories about Robbie Fowler, Michael Owen. You know, there are just some players that you just know, like barring a major injury or something, they're going to make it. And this kid, Ryan Brewster, could be a potential superstar, Dave.
Absolutely, and it's no coincidence that, you know, when his contract, before he signed his professional contract, sorry, that Bayern Munich were after him. There's a couple of Spanish clubs after him. Dortmund were really, really after him. They were like, they wanted him more than Jordan Sanchez.
Mönchengladbach as well.
Mönchengladbach as well. So that says a lot. You know, in these clubs, you know, they're very successful clubs. They know their stuff. Huge hopes for the boy. You know, I think he is everything. I think he's at the right club to succeed as well. And again, going back to what Brian earlier on said about Klopp, I don't think Jurgen Klopp is the type of man or manager to promise. You know, he's basically guaranteed Brewster first team football, should I say? Sorry, obviously being on the basis that he's good enough, and you know he's performing in training, and he gives it everything. And you can see he's happy to be at the club. You can see the way kind of Klopp has integrated these players, these young lads, you know, Queven Gallagher as well. What I mean is when the Champions League final, when they were all part of that, all part of the group. They were all part of, you know, this is us, this is Liverpool. I want everyone to be part of it. And you can see how much Brewster wanted to be there as well. I have huge hopes for the boy, Craig, but my issue is, well, it's not really an issue, just my hesitation with him is we haven't seen him yet regarding first team football. I really want to see him hit the ground running. Of course I do. I want the lad to be world class, but there's just a but there with me.
Fans need to manage expectations, I think, really, with him. Like, they need to understand he is a young kid.
Yeah, he is. He's only a baby. You know, he can come on. You know, I'd more than imagine we're going to see a lot of the boy this preseason. You know, and hopefully later on in the preseason when we're playing the likes of, I think we are playing Sporting Lisbon as well, but Sporting, Seville, Lyon. Are we playing Lyon as well? Yeah, we're playing Lyon.
It's the Fekir friendly.
Yeah.
The Fekir friendly, yeah. So these are the teams, even those preseason, these are the teams you want to see him play against and see how does he kind of, you know, cut his own jib there, like, you know what I mean? And it'd be nice to see him. Nice to see what he can do against, you know, some decent defenders, preseason or not.
Brian, there was a story that came out a few weeks ago. I can't remember where it came from, but the story basically said that Liverpool don't hold any serious interest in Timo Werner because of how highly Jurgen Klopp rates Ryan Brewster and believes that Ryan Brewster can fill that role.
Well, just to go Melissa Reddy, I've heard her say it 3 times on podcasts now that Klopp turned down the chance to sign Werner because of how high they rate Brewster is. Not that there was literally categorically turned down the chance to sign Werner because of Brewster. Now, we all know Brewster wanted to leave because he looked at the team and said, I'm not getting in there. Klopp said, no, you are. Well, how can you prove that to me? He said, look, we could have signed Werner. I'm not going to sign Werner because he will block your path. We want you to sign a new contract. I've heard about how Gareth Southgate has sat him down and said, the second you're fit, you're at senior level. There's no under 20. There's none of that for you. I want you at senior level. He's the most highly regarded player at youth level at Liverpool since Michael Owen. Now, I've seen the videos of him. Like we could talk about how he play. He's a natural born finisher. He's not someone who's going to come deep for the ball. He wants the ball in front of him, running at pace. He's not linking up with lads. He can play a little bit wide right, but he is a finisher, a born finisher. And when you see videos of him, when you see him in the dressing room after Champions League final, like Dave was talking about, if you didn't know, you'd assume he was part of the squad. He just looks born to it. He doesn't look out of nothing. It all looks like his natural environment. He's not fazed by it. You can tell. And I agree with Dave as well. When he gets in, he needs to get in and fire quick. Like, you want him to score in his first game, because if he doesn't, then it becomes one, then it becomes two. You want him in, first chance, bang, off the score sheet. Nice little chip, nice little finish into whatever it is, job done for the day. He scored on his debut. And I also agree, because of where we are with Bobby, give him 3 weeks, Mo, Mane, we're definitely going to see an awful lot of them in pre-season. And so we will get a kernel of what it's about, and we'll be able to form a sort of an opinion on, like, games played probably in 40 degrees walking pace, but we'll get to see enough of them that we can, because I am more excited. Again, like, don't get that over excited about things, but Brewster is one of those things you want to see a generational talent bloom and blossom in front of your eyes for your own club, a special player that you've always thought those are the stories you dream of in football, is to watch players like that come true. Forget about signing some lad for 85 minutes. Brewster, in 3 years' time, will have everyone looking around going, is it him or Mbappe, lad? That's
Whoa, it's a big statement, mate.
Hashtag Mbappe 2020.
that's what people come for, you know.
It leads us quite nicely actually into what I wanted to finish up on tonight, though. So Brian there, Dave, touched on the summer, the pre-season tour, how much you'll probably see Ryan Brewster, probably Wilson, a few other young guys as well. But that gets me thinking, with the African Cup of Nations, with the Copa America, with the Euro Under-21s to an extent as well, what impact will they have on the start of our season and the Community Shield, the game against Norwich, and perhaps even the Super Cup, with regards to who we can have fit and available to start in those front three positions?
I think what did they have off? So let's say they had off probably all the lads went on holidays on, let's say, the 3rd of June. So we won the Champions League first.
Did we win the Champions League?
The 6th time, Craig.
6 times? Jeez, that's a lot, isn't it? That almost sounds like twice as many as United.
It
I
does.
think that's
6.
more than the rest of the Premier League combined.
Is it, yeah?
I think
big,
it is.
big club stuff, that, isn't it?
Not bad, yeah. Not bad. But I don't know, how long do they have before these tournaments started? So let's say, look, they had 2 weeks.
They're all on fucking boats, by the way, somewhere. Did you see that?
Yeah, Mo had one of those sexy Mo Salah beach holiday things going on for a while. That thing he likes to do now.
Dejan Lovren on a little dinghy coming after him going, Mo, wait up, Mo.
That's where Degsy misses him big time. But yeah, look, they've had a bit of time off already. I don't think the impact is going to be as huge as people make out to be, straight up and honest with you. I think, the Copper America finishes, let's say, within a week, and then the African Cup of Nations finishes on the 17th of July. Sorry, Brian, you said that already. So, it's not a huge distance away. Pre-season is going to be relatively short for them, I'd imagine, as well, because they'll have their break, they'll come back, and they're not going to be... Look, the thing is with pre-seasons now, look, I don't know how Klopp structures them or anything like that, but it's not going to be running up fucking sand dunes or things like that. Yeah, there's going to be lactose tests and things like that when they come back, but it's going to be still working on ball work, but these boys have been keeping themselves in trim condition, peak condition. Like Virgil van Dijk was out in Portugal training by himself with Lallana, things like that. So it's a different way of looking at it now. I don't think, to be honest, Craig, the impact is going to be massive, if I'm straight up and honest with you.
For me, Brian, I feel Bobby Firmino will play no matter what, because Klopp often speaks about his natural fitness, and even with a short break, I feel that he might be fit and available to go. With Mo Salah and Sadio Mane, it may well depend on how far. I believe Egypt are hosting the African Cup of Nations this year. I think I'm right in saying that. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But another name that we haven't spoken about really, and it is in the front three position, is Naby Keita, and we know that he has come back for a bit of treatment, I believe, now.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty outrageous situation that went on there, because the club said he wasn't ready, he wasn't fit. Naby Keita told Guinea he wasn't fit to play, and he didn't think he should go. And anybody that knows anything about nations, AFCON, those kind of countries, those games are so important that players they'll give anything to play in these things. So it's incredibly rare that a player as totemic, as important, as iconic as Keita is, for Guinea's tiny nation. This guy is as big as Salah, and for him to turn around and say, "I don't want to go. I don't think I should play." That was huge. Most of those, like, they won't tell anyone, "Oh, I've got this knock, I've got that knock." No, they want to go. They want to represent their nation. It's so you probably know how frenzied it gets over there about these competitions. How important it is for them to see their superstar players coming back from Europe, representing them, winning these things, and for one of their star players to say he didn't want to be there. He didn't think he was fit. They were saying he's not fit. He goes there. He get kicked. One of the games the other night, he got kicked all over the pitch.
I think it was Nigeria. He was down 4 times, I think, for treatment.
Exactly. He was targeted. He was hit. I know it's a little bit different there. It's maybe sort of a little bit looser there, so you have to expect that. But I was really disappointed that he actually ended up doing that, because we need to get to a point where everyone's on board, on the same page about stuff, because that doesn't help relations in the future. We need, I've heard it said plenty of times, Klopp is one of these coaches where it's kind of, if you're doing something like that, or what, and then it ends and it's 3 weeks. It likes to be 3 weeks. That's how much holiday you need. That's how much. So wherever you finish, ideally you'll get 3 weeks. So if they go to the 17th, he would be looking at Salah getting 3 weeks. So you're looking at a month then, because I don't want Salah taking 5 days holiday and rushing back, and then by December we're off to this thing in the World Club Championship. We've got the other, the Super Cup. We've got the Community Shield. There's going to be games left, right, and centre non-stop. So I hope they just make sensible, mature decisions, and just say, look, Salah, we don't want you playing again before X date, and if that means you have to miss this and miss that, and there's a big, huge firestorm over, well, so be it. Because I think we are now the kind of club that makes proper, sensible, mature decisions. We should have cover in place. We can miss him for Norwich, the Arsenal game, and think Burnley, first 3 games. Give him the time and the rest that he needs, because we don't want to pay for this in March.
True. Dave, I want to give you something on this to finish up. Brian spoke about Naby Keita there as well, and I suppose the shithouse tactics from the Ghanaian manager with regards to kind of almost trying to call Liverpool's bluff on whether he'd be fit or not. And we've seen last summer with Mohamed Salah and Egypt qualifying for the World Cup, the national pride in Mo. And rightly so. You want players to be proud to represent the country, but he rushed himself back probably a little bit too early from that shoulder injury for the World Cup, and that did impact the start of his season with Liverpool.
It did, and we were lucky that there wasn't more of an impact. I completely agree with what Brian's saying as well regarding Naby. You know what I mean? He's had, is this his 3rd or 4th muscular injury this season? So it's not good. I for one have been banging the Naby Keita drum for a fucking hell of a long time. I know what the lad is capable of, but he's as useless as a chocolate fireguard if he's all the time injured. We need to wrap this boy up in cotton wool now. Give him, tell Guinea to fuck off. He's not coming back. I know that could be actually impossible to do with FIFA regulations regarding competitions, but all the signs were there. Like, the lad was in a brace when we played Barcelona, when we beat them 4-0. The African Cup of Nations, what was that, the 7th of May? The African Cup of Nations was what started 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, 2 weeks ago, sorry. So you're talking an injury like that just to come back in, 5 weeks. It doesn't make sense to me. Very, very disappointed that he was out there, starting, I suppose, straight away, because he's got that thing now. He's a European champion, Naby Keita. Do you think these boys in Africa give a fuck who he is? They'll kick lumps out of him, and then that showed as well. So it was a bit of a daft move, and I really hope for Naby, he gets the treatment that he needs, the correct treatment, and he's looked after properly. Bit of player management, one goal miss now.
I've got to bring it to a close, gents. It was an absolute pleasure having you both on. I hope we get more of these podcasts done as time goes by. And we'll know in the next week or two, I think, what's happening with transfers, because as Dave touched on earlier on, the European clubs are starting to get moving now at the 1st of July. Massive thank you to Brian and to Dave for joining me on this one. We will be back soon with another podcast. As always, up to motherfucking Reds.